Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Veterans Scotland webinar today as part of Mental Health Week. What we are trying to achieve here over the week is to provide some information that will help a variety of different individuals, whether it's organisations or the individuals that they support, to try and look for ways of reducing anxiety and taking away some of the stresses of life, and looking for top tips or whatever it might be, but just by being better informed and better understanding some of the challenges. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Lucy from AbilityNet, who is going to talk to us. I'll let her introduce herself in detail, but I've got a good friend who's involved also in AbilityNet, and I know they do some fantastic work across the UK to help bring understanding and reduce stress and anxiety for our older populations, not just veterans, but across the whole of the population. So, Lucy, I'm delighted you've been able to join us today, and we look forward to hearing what you've got to say. I must say, just before I go, there is a Q&A available if you want to put your questions in the Q&A area. We'll get through as many of those as we can before the end of the session. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Lucy.
Thanks, Martin. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today. My name's Lucy Walsh. I'm from the charity AbilityNet. I have a presentation in front of me, and I'm not able to see any of you, but Martin is going to be managing any questions that come up. But the presentation should be maybe around 40 minutes or so. So I will close the presentation down at the end of it, and then you'll be able to pose some questions to him through the Q&A window. I think you can do that throughout the presentation. So if there's anything I've said that you'd like me to clarify, pop it into the Q&A, and Martin will help me to manage those. So I think there are people there, but I can't see anyone at the moment because I've got the presentation in front of me. Okay, so firstly, let's tell you a little bit about who we are. So AbilityNet have been working in partnership with BT over the last 2 years, and our mission in this project is to improve the confidence of disabled and older people in what we're calling the digital world. So far, we've helped over 6,000 older and disabled people use digital resources such as shopping or banking online, using email, downloading apps, video calling, and staying safer online. So let's have a little talk through what we're hoping to achieve by the end of this short session. I'm going to start by just showing you some examples of some common financial scams, and talking a little bit about how best to avoid them. Martin spoke briefly about the stresses of the digital world, and in our experience, I travel around South Wales and the West, but we have trainers in Manchester, Birmingham, Stoke, Scotland, and their experiences are that one of the main things that people are particularly concerned about are scams. So we're going to have a little look at a few of those common scams. I'll talk very briefly about how the digital world affects us and how you can help to keep others safe online. That's just a little bit about understanding, particularly for those of you who may be parents or grandparents, understanding some of the things to look out for when your family or yourself are using things such as social media. I'll give you an overview of some of the common social media platforms. There's plenty of them out there, but I've just got a selection of 3 or 4 of them just to talk you through. And we're just going to have a moment to think about our online identity as well, and how it's important to consider that in the digital world. So how we appear to others in the digital world. So wonderful digital world, hey? Well, maybe some people think it is, others not so much. I guess like everything in life, there's the good and the bad. Maybe some of you are using your digital devices a lot of the time. Maybe others are more fearful to use them. Some are really up to speed and not so much. There's definitely a good and a bad side of the digital world. And we're going to start off by looking at the bad side of it. So I'm going to spend maybe 15 or 20 minutes or so giving you some examples of scams. I'm not talking about hacking. So in the news recently, you may very well have heard about Marks and Spencer as an example. They've had their systems hacked. where fraudsters are criminals are trying to get hold of information, or maybe they're holding big business to ransom. We're not necessarily covering that today. I don't work for MI5 or the CIA, so I couldn't tell you how to avoid big companies getting hacked. We're actually talking about scams. And they are tricks, it's a ruse, a swindle, it's a racket, but ultimately it is a fraud. So to clarify, we're going to be looking at some ways in which criminals, fraudsters give you a bit of information, we believe it, and as a result, we part with our hard-earned cash. Martin, just to say, because I can't see you, if you want to interrupt, just shout out. Okay, so we'll start off. Some of these will look very familiar to you, I'm sure. We've got some examples of emails, text messages that have been received by people, and we've popped a copy on here. I'll focus on the first one here on the left-hand side, the blue one. It's a text message from Evri, which is a delivery company. So we've called these delivery scams. And if we read that one on the left-hand side, it gives us a reference number. It's got a perfectly legitimate logo there, and it says Murphy was unable to deliver your Evri parcel at 11:23 due to an incomplete address. What you'll see underneath there is a link. The link is underlined, or they may very well be in blue, and they're asking you to select that link to view some details. Now, lots of us will receive these all of the time. Perhaps for some of you, they're already going into your spam folders. But actually, what we're asking people to do is to look at these kinds of text messages and emails much more carefully. What we can see from this one, the first thing is to notice is that it's not actually addressed to anybody. If you had ordered something and you were expecting it to be delivered, we would expect it to say, "Dear Mr. Jones," and tell you about the delivery or the issue with the delivery. But this one doesn't say anything. It also doesn't have any details about you at all, not a user ID, not an email address. So already we're starting to notice that this is not personalized, and that's common in all three of those, as you can see. This is where scammers are just getting a logo, they're putting information on it, and they're encouraging you to select a link within that method of communication. Now, the links are dangerous very often because when we click on that link, it will be asking you at some point to hand over your debit or credit or bank card details. In this one on the left-hand side, the story that the scammers will give you is that if you click on the view details, it will ask you for your name, your address, and then it will probably ask you to hand over your debit card details for a small redelivery fee. And also you can see in the bottom, we're saying there, stop and think. There is no such thing as a redelivery fee. It doesn't exist. If your postman delivers something and you're not there, he'll leave it in the wheelie bin for you to find in 6 months' time, or he will leave it in the porch or leave it with a neighbour. Very often they may take it back to the depot, but they will not ask you to pay a redelivery fee. So we're asking people to check the sender, check any emails or phone numbers that might be on it, and stop and think, does this sound realistic? Is this such a thing? Moving on, e-card scams. We've called it e-card scams, but what we're being encouraged to do here is to click on a link because this particular email is telling us that we don't have the correct version of a piece of software on our particular system. So as you can see, this one is from Hallmark and it's a perfectly legitimate logo as it would appear. And this is an email that's come across. Again, if you notice, it's not addressed to anybody. It's also not from anybody. So if somebody had sent you an electronic greetings card from Hallmark, it would say who it was from, or it would certainly say who it was to. And neither of these things are on this particular email. You'll also notice that it tells you that you don't have the correct version of a particular piece of software to enable you to read that e-card. So in terms of the stop and think, well, how does that email know? That email doesn't know whether or not you have the correct software on your computer or not because you haven't selected anything. It's a little bit like me walking past your car and telling you your car needs to go and get looked at in the garage. And you're thinking, well, how do you know that? So again, stop and think, does this look realistic? We're asking people here not to click on any of these blue links if we're getting any of this other information, because it could download some software onto our system that may make our computers vulnerable. So we're asking people to check who it's from, check if it's addressed to anybody, and think to yourself, does this sound like common sense? How on earth does this email know what kind of software I've got? And just to let all of you know that most digital devices now have the sufficient software to run a little video or to run an e-card. We're looking at this one at finance scams. I'll choose the center one here for you. It's Netflix. Some of you may have received these kinds of text messages or emails. Very often they will tell you that there is a problem with your account. I tend to categorize scams into fear or FOMO. So fear is where you are being frightened into do something, and FOMO, fear of missing out, is where you're being encouraged to do something because there's something for you at the end of it. So this Netflix one is a little bit of fear. It's saying here that you need to update your details. We're having some trouble with your current billing information. We'll try again, but in the meantime, please update your payment details. And on the one on the right, it's from Lloyds Bank telling you that they're not able to make a payment to somebody because there's a problem with your card or your account. Well, in the real world, if you did have a problem with your card or your account, you would know about it. So, for example, if you've been paying Netflix quite happily for the last 6 or 8 months or so, and say, for example, you stopped your card because you thought it had been lost or stolen, or maybe you didn't have money in your bank account. Those are perfectly legitimate reasons why they may not be able to get money from your account, but you would know about those. You'll also see that it tells you that your account is on hold with a big exclamation mark there, trying to frighten you into acting quickly. They'll often tell you that you need to do it very, very quickly. It's a very simple fix. Click on this link, pop in your new details, and you'll be away to go. As you'll see, they're not actually addressed to anybody. The one on the right is addressed to Dear Customer. There are no reference numbers. There are no account numbers. The one to Netflix, you'll see, is actually addressed to Hi Dear. So scammers will do that very often because they know that we just glance through an email or a text message. Sometimes we have a look at the logo and then we'll be fooled enough to click on the link and add in our new details. Just a bit of a side story for you. From doing this job for about the last year or so, I have actually met 2 people who have fallen foul to the scam on the right, asking them to click on the link and update their debit card details to make a payment through Lloyds Bank, and neither of them actually banked with Lloyds. They've seen the logo, they've been frightened about a payment, they've clicked on the link, handed over their debit card details, and they hadn't actually even banked with Lloyds. So it's about stopping and thinking. Impersonation scams or family impersonation scams sometimes. The way these work is that you will receive a text message, a WhatsApp message, and it will be saying something like, "Hi mum, hi dad, it's me." And there will be a problem for that person. So this is the fear again. They'll very often ask you to delete the original telephone number or contact details that you have for them, and they'll try and engage you into some kind of story. On this particular one, it says, "I've changed from provider. This is my new number. Can you please delete my old number?" And as you can see on here, they're just trying to lead you in to thinking that you're talking to one of your children. It's 3 guesses, mum, when they ask, "Who are you? Why did you change?" And they're trying to engage you into some kind of conversation, never telling you exactly who they are, never giving you a name, of course, of who they are, but giving you a story to tell you that they're in some kind of difficulty or they want you to help. They want you to delete the original contact details, of course, so that you don't have those in your phone, so that you can't phone that person and check if it's them. And AbilityNet, we're saying, don't pay any attention to that. Never ever delete anybody's details. If you receive an email, text message, WhatsApp message telling you that somebody you think you know is in difficulty, don't delete their details. Pick up the phone and give that person a ring, and they will tell you whether or not it's real. We're also suggesting here, you can see on the left-hand side, that you and your family think of some kind of question and answer that you have that only you and your family would know about. Nothing to do with dates of birth or anniversary dates or anything like that, but something silly like what colour is the front door or what's the dog called. And you can use that on any occasion where you're receiving a call or any kind of contact from somebody who's saying they're a family member. Quick question. Okay, no worries. What's the cat called? And if they can't answer that, then step away from it. And that's the stop and think. Technical support scams, well, they used to be on your landline or on your mobile, talking to somebody there, and they would introduce themselves as the Microsoft team or the IT support team. They would throw you into panic, of course, telling you that there's a problem with your device, that your accounts have been hacked. We're hearing more recently that people are receiving telephone calls from people saying that they're from Amazon, that there's a problem with their Amazon account, it's been hacked or it's vulnerable, and as a result they need to move money out of their bank account and put it somewhere else. I listened to the news today, and actually there was a warning there to customers of Marks and Spencer, telling them that if they're receiving calls from people telling them that their Marks and Spencer accounts are vulnerable of being hacked, to ignore them. Okay, companies do not contact customers by phone and ask them to move money at all. Not even banks do any of that. There's also no such thing as a Microsoft team or a generic IT support team. But not only could it be on the telephone, sometimes some of you may have experienced what we call pop-ups. So you might be Googling and there might be a little speech bubble that pops up on the screen, and it tells you that something has expired, that your system is vulnerable. Click here and purchase a new piece of software that will protect you. And that's the fear setting in there. They'll always say they can fix it for you easily, no problem, just a few clicks and they will be in. And we're saying never allow remote access to people. If somebody has contacted you telling you there's a problem with your device and you're not experiencing a problem with your device, then a bit like your car, it's unlikely that there's a problem with your device. And this one, again, works on fear. Romance or friendship scams, doesn't have to be romance necessarily. A lot of programs on the television about this. In the mornings, there's one called For Love or Money. That's a great one to look at. And what's happening here is generally this is through social media, but it can also be through WhatsApp. You may very well that somebody contacts you through social media, that they say they want to be a friend on, let's say, Facebook. And of course, they will have seen your profile, so they will be able to mirror and mimic the kind of things that you're interested in. So if you've got lots of images of motorbikes, they will tell you that they too are into motorbikes, and they'll be doing a lot of research in the background. You start a friendship with this person. This is not something that happens within a week or two. This is something that can go over weeks and weeks and months, until eventually that person will be experiencing a problem and ask you to help them. And that will normally mean that they'll want access to your bank account or for you to send them money. What we're saying to people here is be very, very careful about what you're sharing online. It's always stop and think with these kinds of scams. What is it you're sharing? What are you posting? Are you posting photographs of yourself? Are you telling people that you're now living alone, that maybe a partner has died, that your children have moved abroad, that you're standing in front of a wonderful house and garden, so people can start building a picture of the type of person you are? They may be able to see the age you are. So we're asking people to think about their privacy settings on things like Facebook, to be very careful about what they're sharing, and to remember, if you share something with one person, they may very well share it with others, and that is how scammers potentially can get in touch with you. Fake websites. So on this one, we're asking people to read the website addresses very carefully. It is as quick as that. You type in tax my car and you think you've gone onto the gov.uk website, but there's something on there that might be slightly different. It might be gov.uk or gov.uk. something else, and you're not quite on the correct website. And that will be scammers who have set up websites that look very similar to particularly government websites or any websites where you'll be expecting to make a payment for something. You'll click on it. It will look exactly the same as how you may expect it to look, but you're going into a scam website. A couple of things you can do to protect yourself here, other than reading it very, very carefully. Keep an eye out for what we're calling paid search engine adverts, and those are sponsored websites. So when you go into Google and you type in car parts or whatever it might be, there will be a number of websites that come up there. Halfords may be one of them, QuickFit may be another, but you'll also see some other websites which may be above the Halfords and the QuickFits, and they'll have the little word sponsored alongside them, tiny little word alongside it. A sponsored website is one where the person who owns that website is paying Google to have their web address pushed up to the top of the list to encourage you to click on their website before anybody else's. Now, I'm not saying that they're all scam websites, but do be aware that those exist. And if you're looking for QuickFit, if you're looking for Halfords, then it may very well be a few web addresses or a few websites underneath the top ones. Most people think, well, surely Halfords would be there at the top, but not necessarily, because these large organizations don't pay Google to have their web addresses pushed to the top. Smaller ones do, and they're the ones that you're being encouraged to click on. So read them carefully, look for the word sponsored. We're also saying to people at the start of each website, if it's got payment facilities on it, there should be a padlock there to tell you that it's a secure website. And also websites start with HTTPS as opposed to HTTP. So we're looking for the padlock and we're looking for the S. In terms of ways to pay, we're suggesting, of course, you don't drop money into a bank account. You can research the retailer if you need to. Credit cards are often safer than using debit cards because you would have the balance reinstated far more quickly on a credit card if it was identified as a scam. Although it is fair to say that banks are getting better at recrediting people's money once they've identified or made a complaint to them that there was a scam. You could also use something like PayPal or Apple Pay. And we're talking to people here about making sure that you're using strong and different passwords to keep your accounts secure. So this is sort of touching maybe on a little bit of AI. So this is where we have fake endorsements. So for those social media users that have joined us today, you may very well find that you are scrolling through Facebook or X or whatever it may be, and you may find that there's a celebrity there that you recognize who is pushing a particular product, for example. And on here we've got Martin Lewis, apparently, who is suggesting that you buy some Bitcoin, and of course Martin Lewis doesn't suggest us to buy it, doesn't suggest we buy anything. So what we're saying there is, if you are going through social media and you're seeing an advert for a product that you might like, that's fine. Take a look at the name of the company that's selling the product. Come out of that social media application. Go onto Google, find the name of that company and purchase anything that you may want to purchase from there instead. And again, clicking links on social media is something we're suggesting that people don't do. Scammers are very, very smart. You may click on a link to buy, I don't know, a new piece of software or something like that through social media, and it will look like a very, very reliable payment page. And the minute you've handed over your debit card details, of course, that's it. They've got access to them. And as you can see here, we spoke earlier how we sometimes scan read. We've got the Daily Mirror here, but just for balance, we've also got the Sun. And if you look carefully, of course, that isn't the Sun, it's the sum. So what we're saying is read things carefully. So just some tips for staying safer online. Keeping your antivirus up to date, that's an interesting one in this particular presentation, because actually everything we've spoken about has got nothing to do with antivirus. You could argue that the antivirus we've been talking about today is actually us, that we are the antivirus. because we are reading something, we are believing it, and we are handing over our bank details. So we are the antivirus in terms of scams. We're going to stop and think. We're going to research things. And also, I'd always suggest that you talk to other people. If there's anything you're concerned about, you can talk to other people. When you're using passwords, try and include capitals and special characters, exclamation marks, question marks, that kind of thing for passwords. We've already talked about the importance of researching websites, coming out of whatever you're in, coming out of that text message, coming out of that WhatsApp, going on to Google and researching that company. There are free website scam checkers. It's called Check a Website from the organization Get Safe Online. So if you wanted to Google Get Safe Online, they have a free website scam checker there that you might want to use. There's also another one, and it works through WhatsApp. It's called Ask Silver. So at the end of this presentation, you may want to go and Google Ask Silver, and it's very simple for you to click through the steps to join Ask Silver. It works using WhatsApp, and it allows you to take a screenshot of something that you think may very well be a scam, and they will tell you whether or not it is in fact legitimate. We're asking you to avoid selecting links in suspicious emails, text messages, adverts, and to really think, is this fear? Is this FOMO? Does it make any sense at all? And that's the stop and think for us. So a few little tips there for you to just keep yourself safer online. And to remember, I always say to people, if you've got your device and your debit card in your hand at the same time, put them down, walk around the kitchen, have a think, and then come back to it. There are some organisations here as well we've provided for you to report it to. The police are not necessarily the right person to report frauds to, but we have Action Fraud. There's the free phone number there. The National Cyber Security Centre, or the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority. Okay, we said we'd have a little look at the impacts of the digital world. I know Martin was talking a little bit earlier about reducing stress, that kind of thing for us. So we'll just touch on it very briefly, how the digital world impacts us and those that we care for. We'll have a quick look at communication and consider the impacts of communication on young people and us and their mental health. And we'll have a little look at our online identity. Okay, so I'm sure it makes sense to most of you here. Your online identity is the way you present yourself online.
I think we have lost Lucy. Lucy, can you hear us? I'll see if she comes back in. First of our webinars, first technical problem. Ironically, I'm talking about digital. I'm just trying to call Lucy back into the call now. That didn't work. Well, as this is recording, I'm hoping that we can edit this bit out. And for those who look later, it'll be more seamless. Sorry, can't seem to dial Lucy back into the meeting. I'll try one more time. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm getting anywhere with this, so I'm going to, it's a shame because we had some questions. What I will do is I will ask the questions that were posted into Lucy separately and try and get those and then re-edit the video and get it posted, or it'll be going out through email and on our website. But thank you for joining us. There's more tomorrow, hopefully without the technical hitches. And I shall endeavour to try and get back to Lucy now. I'll see what I can do. But I hope some of that was interesting. We were just about to get into the potential harms of too much screen time, etc., which would have been a shame not to have completed. But we'll get the presentation and the Q&A, etc., posted as quickly as possible. For now, thank you very much. Unless there are any other, I'll just look and see if there's any other questions that have come in, whether I can answer them or not. No, I don't think. I think okay. So have a good day. Enjoy the sunshine. All the very best. Bye bye now.